Congress. Well, I am joined now by Democratic Congressman Charlie Crist of Florida and Republican Congressman Mike Johnson of Louisiana. And these two gentlemen have new legislation out calling for a National Day of Civility. And I agree, we certainly need one. Let's be civil. Congressman Crist, let's start with you. You saw the new Senate bill just released, and in the name of civility, is there anything in it that you like?
Well, I think there's been some modification as it relates to pre-existing conditions. Haven't had a chance to read the entire bill because, as you say, it just came out yesterday. But according to press accounts, that may be a bit of a shift and something encouraging. But there's other parts that still discourage me as it relates to seniors, as it relates to women and Planned Parenthood, and some other items that led me to vote against it when it was over on the House side. So we'll see.
Congressman Johnson, as a Republican, since we are being civil, this bill will repeal Obamacare, something that you want to happen. Now, as it relates to Obamacare, many complaints were premiums were too high, premiums were going up, deductibles were too high. This proposal doesn't help that. And to Congressman Crist's point, when you think about Medicaid, when you think about Planned Parenthood, what's good about this repeal?
Well, Obamacare is failing the American people, and that's objectively true. Everybody can recognize that. In my state of Louisiana, premiums have gone up on average over 120%. So this bill is a starting point, I think.
This bill doesn't solve that.
Well, it's a starting point in the Senate, and they'll go through their negotiations, and hopefully they'll do it in an agreeable manner. The reason we're sponsoring the National Day of Civility and trying to get this through is because we want to get back to this idea of statesmanship, that even when we disagree on major policy points, that we can do it in an agreeable manner. We've got 50 members of the freshman class in our class who have signed on to an actual document, the Commitment to Civility, and so we're trying to keep this theme going through the Congress, even on the most contentious issues.
Well, you can sign a document for civility, but at the same time, something that matters, life or death, Republicans have shut Democrats out of the process as it relates to this health care bill. That's not civil.
Well, I don't know that that's exactly true. There are major policy differences across the aisle and even within our own parties. But the idea here is that we come out with the best public policy when we get around a table and arm wrestle together in an agreeable manner over what's best for the American people. And I think the goal of all of us is to get the most health care to the most Americans, quality health care, at the best possible prices. It's a very complex issue, but we're all working very hard to make that happen.
Mike and I agree on that broad stroke. Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie.
Congressman Crist, civility is certainly what we all need, especially after the horrible tragedy last week. But just yesterday, President Trump announced he had no tapes of James Comey. As a Democrat, calling for civility, is it difficult for you? That certainly doesn't seem like a civil president.
Well, what I think is important is that we comport ourselves in a civil fashion. We cannot control the actions of others. But Mike and I certainly can control our actions. And the 50 freshmen who signed on to this commitment to civility, and we'll have a lot of co-sponsors, I think, as it relates to the National Day of Civility, we've designated to be July 12th. Really, that comes from the Bible out of the book of Matthew, where it talks about doing unto others as you would have done unto you. And that's the idea here. Mike and I are not going to agree on everything, but we will treat each other with respect, and we will be kind and decent to one another. And one of the things I heard over and over in my district during my campaign last year in St. Petersburg and Clearwater, Florida was, Charlie, if you win, make sure you go up there and work together. You guys may not agree on everything, but at least be decent to one another, be Americans first, and to your party second or third. So that's what we're trying to do.
I applaud that. With respect comes honesty and integrity. Congressman Johnson, I want to share a bit of sound for you. Earlier this week, President Trump spoke at a rally in Iowa, and I want to share a sampling of some of the things that he said.
Last week, a brand new coal mine just opened in the state of Pennsylvania, first time in decades. Anybody builds a pipeline in the United States will use American steel and fabricate in America. No more taking it over on boats. And they all say it's non-binding. Like hell, it's non-binding.
Congressman Johnson, those are 3 lies. So is it hard for you to stand behind the president and call for civility, which with civility comes respect and integrity, when there's no integrity in that type of behavior?
Well, I think that's a stretch to say the president lacks integrity. I support him because of his initiatives. I've met the president. I've spent a lot of time with him in the last several weeks and months, and I believe his heart's in the right place. We could disagree sometimes about tactics, but I think he's trying to do what's best for the American people, and I support it.
He told 3 lies there, though. And when you talk about the word civility, honesty comes with that.
Well, sure it does, and I know the president aspires to that as an ideal. We all do, and facts and statements and sound bites can be taken out of context all the time. But I support the president because I believe he's best for the country, and he's working very hard to do that. But even when I disagree with the president, and I have, and I will, I'm sure, going forward, again, we're going to do it in an agreeable manner because that's what the American people expect of us, and I think at the end of the day, that's what allows us to forge the best public policy for everyone.
Well, I, for one, certainly appreciate and applaud the efforts of both of you. Thank you so much.